Hey everyone, and welcome. If you've ever stood in your backyard dreaming of pulling gallons and gallons of sweet, plump blueberries right off the bush, then you have definitely come to the right place. Today, we're going to dive into the real secrets of getting that perfect harvest, all by feeding your blueberries naturally. So, does this whole scene look a little too familiar? I mean, you've got these gorgeous blueberry bushes, right? The leaves are this amazing deep green, everything looks super healthy. But then harvest time rolls around and it's just meh. The yield is tiny and the berries that are there just taste kind of flat. It's honestly one of the most frustrating things for any gardener. And trust me, you are not alone in this. One grower said it perfectly. They were like, I was so sure I'd be hauling in gallons of berries, but when harvest came, the yield was weak and the flavor was flat. You know, it's that classic problem of a plant that looks fantastic on the outside, but it's just not getting what it truly needs on the inside to make that amazing fruit. So, what's really going on here? Well, like so many things in the garden, the answer is right there under our feet. The big secret isn't some fancy, complicated spray or fertilizer. It's all about the soil. Okay, let's just cut right to the chase. The number one reason, and I mean the number one reason, that blueberry bushes fail to really thrive and give you that amazing crop is simply incorrect soil pH. It's this hidden problem that can make or break your entire harvest. And here it is. This is the magic number. This is the golden range you're shooting for. See, blueberries are what we call acid-loving plants. They absolutely need a soil pH that's somewhere between 4.5 and 5.5 to be truly happy. Think of it like this. The correct pH is like a key. When you're in that 4.5 to 5.5 sweet spot, the key fits the lock, it turns, and it unlocks all of those crucial nutrients in the soil. We're talking iron, nitrogen, all the good stuff, so the plant's roots can slurp them right up. But if that pH creeps up too high, say above 6.0, those same nutrients get completely locked up. The plant is literally starving, even if it's sitting in a buffet of food. You know, the experts at Michigan State put it best. They said if the mantra for real estate is location, 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 then for blueberries, it is pH, pH, pH. I mean, that's it. It is the single most important thing. You get this one factor right, and everything else just gets so much easier. So, if our main goal is to get that pH just right, then our first and most important step is to find out exactly where we're starting from. We have to test, not guess. No flying blind here. And it's really just three key diagnostic steps. First, obviously, run a soil test to get your baseline pH. Second, you've got to know your soil type. Is it sandy? Is it clay? Because that changes how you're going to amend it. And finally, and this is a big one people forget, check your water source. If you have hard water, it can actually raise your soil's pH every single time you water. And look, you do not need a degree in chemistry to figure this out. You can get these simple, inexpensive little home test kits just about anywhere. They give you a quick reading and empower you to know exactly what your soil needs before you go adding a single thing. All right, so once we know our pH number, it's time to build our toolkit. And we're going to be using organic amendments that work with the soil, not against it. We've basically got three main tools in our toolbox. First up, elemental sulfur. This is your long-term, slow and steady workhorse for safely bringing that pH down. Next, pine needles. They are a fantastic mulch. Not only do they hold in moisture, but they help keep the soil acidic as they break down. And finally, cottonseed meal. This is your go-to organic fertilizer. It provides a nice, slow release of nitrogen, and it also helps keep that soil acidic. It's a win-win. Okay, so now we know what to use, but we've got to talk about when to use it. Because with blueberries, timing is everything. A good schedule just follows the plant's natural rhythm through the year. So think of this schedule as your roadmap for the whole year. It breaks down the feeding into these key moments in the blueberry's life, from when it's just waking up in the spring to when it's making berries, all the way to preparing for winter. If you follow this rhythm, you're making sure the plant gets what it needs precisely when it can use it the most. So let's just walk through the year. In early spring, when the buds start to swell, you give it its main breakfast of cottonseed meal and sulfur if you need it. A little later, as the berries are starting to form, you give it a little side dress, like a midday snack to keep it going. Then after the harvest, you give it a light feeding to help it recover. And then, and this is so important, in the fall, you let it rest. No heavy feeding. You just tuck it in for winter with a fresh blanket of mulch. It's a simple and really effective cycle.
Okay, so we know what to do, but just as important is knowing what not to do. Let's talk about some of the really common mistakes that can undo all of your hard work in a heartbeat.
The very first step is learning to listen to your plants. I mean, they are literally talking to you. You see these yellow leaves with the dark green veins? That is a classic textbook sign of iron deficiency. And what that's really telling you is that your pH is too high and the plant can't get to the iron. Your bushes are sending you signals. So, how do you steer clear of these problems and just keep your plants happy and productive? Well, it really just comes down to avoiding a few really common pitfalls. And this is absolutely critical. More is not better. Overfeeding, especially with too much nitrogen, just gives you a ton of leafy growth and hardly any fruit. And feeding too late in the season, that just encourages tender new shoots that are going to get zapped by the first frost. And of course, skipping the soil test is just flying blind. You have to stick to the plan. Feed lightly and feed consistently.
And this is the payoff. This is why we're doing all this. When you take the time to manage the soil pH, use the right natural amendments, and follow that simple schedule, this is your reward. Healthy, vibrant bushes that are just absolutely loaded down with delicious, super flavorful berries.
So let's end on this really powerful idea. Strong roots lead to strong fruit. It's the whole philosophy right there, in one sentence, isn't it? When you focus on building that healthy, acidic soil, you're not just feeding the plant, you're building the entire foundation for an amazing harvest, year after year.